For many people, the stock market, in any market for that matter, is like some foreign topic. It's something that they really want to know about. It's intriguing, but at the same time, it's something that just doesn't fall into their everyday rigmarole of, what they're seeking information on. So it's like, oh yeah, I'll get back to that when I have time. Like, oh yeah, I'll do that when I have a moment. But in the big picture, this is the answer to many of your hopes, your goals, your dreams, is to get involved in a market. Hello everyone, and thank you once again for joining me, Jan Harp, on whichever social media platform you're watching this. I just wanted to take a moment and discuss markets. So, number one, what are markets, right? So you hear a lot of people talk about different assets. Let's take real estate, for example, because a lot of people, they can relate to a home being an asset, whether it's because you want to rent it out, you want to use it for income generating purposes straight off the bat, or maybe you're getting it in order to provide a generational legacy of something that your kids can then later on figure out what it is that they would like to do with it. But either way, most of us can think in our minds about a home or a property being an asset, whereas the stock market, like I said, that's that intriguing foreign thing that we just really don't have time to learn about. So let's just take real estate for example. The reason why real estate sits so well in our mind is an easy example to use in order to explain markets is because we're already watching it. So a lot of people don't make it a habit to watch business news, but you do pay attention to whether the rental rates are going up or whether the mortgage rates are going up. You pay attention to those things. The price of materials at Home Depot in order to make repairs at your home. So these types of things you already are thinking about. So let's just use this as a tangible example. So when I say a market, that's anything that has an asset that can generate you income for the most part. But real estate is a market. That's the reason why it has highs and it has lows. It has prime opportunities when you buy and prime moments when you sell. It is a place where people, they want to have a return on investment. They want to know that, they brought this property and that it's going to, be a form of income for them in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And the problem becomes when they don't understand the market, the overall market, when they only understand their one piece. So for instance, like if you bought the house, you may watch whether or not the value is depreciating. You may not make the correlation in your mind if this is a market. So that means that if this value is decreasing, my equity is decreasing, then that means that the market itself must be having some type of effect going on. Unless of course it's just, some situation in your neighborhood or something, for instance, like gentrification. If something happens in like your specific neighborhood, they start changing the scenery. They start adding things that weren't there before and making it more attractive for outside people to come in. Think of that like an IPO, an initial product offering. That comes from the stock market, but it's relative to the housing market. Because if now I come in, we call it gentrification, they call it a community redevelopment area. So if your area becomes that community redevelopment area and they start refacing everything, bringing in, like let's say, the coffee shops and the different places where the people who have higher incomes or who are dropping from a higher income rung. So maybe these were people who were in homes before and now they're in a rental because the kids have moved out. They didn't really need that 4 or 5 bedroom anymore anyway. So to get a better bang for their buck, they got rid of the house. They went into the real estate market. All of these movements, all of these intricate parts, that's what makes it a market. And if you do not take into account the intricate moving parts, then you can miss out on opportunities. You can miss out on when it's the prime opportunity to sell, when it's the prime opportunity to buy. So as with any other market, you definitely do not want to buy when it's high. And then, you don't want to try to sell when it's low. You want to do that in reverse. So as I was stating, you have, let's just say your area has this gentrification model going on and you have these people who are coming in for these different reasons. Maybe it's because like these new coffee spots are coming in. They have access to the highway, they have access to transportation. People could easily access them. They can easily access doctors' offices, supermarkets and so forth. And so now these people start coming in and you've been there for a minute. Maybe you bought your house when you can remember when the trash collectors didn't come, and you can remember when it was hard to get someone to deliver a pizza to you in that area, and you've been there that long. Like maybe your house, you bought it when it was worth $15,000, and then all of a sudden someone's coming along and they're telling you that no, your house is worth like $450,000, and you're like, what? Like that doesn't even make any sense to me. But the reason why your house is now worth that amount of money is because the market has changed. So those little things that happen that cause new people to come into the area, that's like new industry. Those outside elements that were brought into the community that cause those outside people to gain interest in relocating, and utilizing these new aspects of the community, those things influenced the market. And right there with you, without you doing anything, all of a sudden, boom, something that you brought when the market was low and nobody was thinking about it. You just knew that, okay, I'm gonna, move into this area, I can afford this house. And then boom, now because they refaced it, you are able to benefit from a higher evaluation on your property because they re-released your neighborhood. So when you knew your neighborhood, it was known for X, Y, and Z. Most of the people who came from that neighborhood, they know it for X, Y, and Z. The new people who are coming in, they know it for all of the new values that it is promoting, mostly to people who do not live there, because they want this new energy to come in and perpetuate the new values that they are creating for this new community that you've been living in for quite some time. So this is a redevelopment area, and it's important because these things affect the market. So you have a lot of people right now who are not paying attention to the market. They have heard what's going on in the market, and because whoever they were speaking with maybe was only taking into account one aspect of the market. So maybe they were only taking into account that, hey, for the last 18 months, I've been killing it. There's all of this rental assistance out there in the market. Vacation rentals are popping right now. Like, people are renting left and right. All of these positive aspects are happening in the market. Think of that like a bull run. So just like the stock market has a bull run, real estate market has a bull run, and other things that are considered assets, they have bull runs. So when something runs up, so let me just deviate for a second from using the real estate as an example. Let's use a stock. Like, let's think of AMC, so like the movie theater, right? So you say to yourself, oh, I really like going to the movies. I'm going to, take a chance. I'm going to jump out there. I'm going to grab hold to some movie stock because I love going to the movies. And then COVID happens and you decide not to sell your stock for whatever reason. You hold on to it, and now you've been holding it forever. You've had it, you bought it when it was really, really low. Maybe you bought it when AMC first opened. Who knows? But you bought it when it was low. And so then once COVID happened and people stopped going to the movies, you were like, you know what? Let me actually buy some more. I'm not even going to sell what I have. I'm going to buy a little bit more. And then boom, one day you looked into your account and you realized that same stock that you bought for maybe $1 or $2, now it's running through the roof. Now it's like worth like $15, $16. And so you have this percentage rate that is going to affect your return on investment on that AMC stock, because now it's like a exponential percent higher than what you paid to get it. Same thing like the real estate market. If you came in when it was low, you bought your house at $15,000, gentrification happens, elements happen in society that, cause the value of that property to go up. Just like things happen in society that caused the value of that AMC stock to rise up, which was that, people who had their nostalgia over, no, I love the movie theater. Once this is all said and done, the movie theaters will come back. So we're going to invest in it. When it's a new company that's coming on the market, just like this is like a new arena that we're going into right now when it comes to the real estate market and things that are happening. So this is the time where people are saying, let me reevaluate things. Let me reevaluate how I'm going to buy. Let me reevaluate what stocks I'm going to be into, what type of investments I'm going to make. You can't go off of yesterday's news. It's just like staying on top of the stock market. You have to watch it. So that's what I mean. Like, when I say that real estate is something that we're already watching, just watch it with a different eye. Watch it with the same type of an eye that you would if you were talking about a stock market, because it is still a market. Okay, so any market will have fluctuations. So we have outside investors that come, from whether it's big corporations or other countries. They actually buy real estate here. So you can't just look at what's going on in the U.S. alone. You have to also think about outside of the regular person who's getting a house. You have to think about those corporate people, like the investor mindset, the market mindset, which says that, hey, if the return on investment is going to be different now for a house, then maybe I don't want that anymore. If the return on investment is going to be different for a multifamily, then maybe I don't want that anymore. So, as I said, the real estate market is very similar to other stock markets because they're markets. They are areas where you invest money in order for you to get a return on investment. And with that in mind, you have to have an investor's mindset. You have to think about things not in terms of a consumer all of the time. Sometimes you have to think about it in terms of an investor. So that means that you have to constantly evaluate, your investment based on what return you're looking for, like what your overall goal with that investment is. Are you holding it for long term, for generational, pass it down to the next generation? Or is it something that, hey, when I retire, I want to make sure that this is giving me some money back because I'm going to need that money? So it just depends on what your reason is for holding that asset. Okay, so with that in mind, you think to yourself, okay, when gentrification happens, it's almost like an IPO, like an initial product offering in the stock market, where this new investment is coming on the scene, and they're getting these initial investors to come in and spend money, or give money to the cause. So now people came into the neighborhood, they gave money to the cause. The people who got really excited over the numbers that they were being offered for their property, they sold. The new people have moved in. Think of it similar to, like I said, the AMC, where they said to themselves, okay, this product, people are the they. They said to themselves, okay, this product is going to come back. I believe in this. I'm going to give money to this cause. This is going to be money that AMC is going to use to revamp, reface, similar to how gentrification allows them to have the money to come in, revamp, reface. So now these new people move into the area. These new people come into the market. And so once they get into the market, it then depends on what that area does with that investment, to see how it turns out. In most cases, especially when we're talking about gentrification, what happens is that those people who sold, well, they sold at the top of the market. Someone, scooped that up who wasn't really thinking. They now have little equity in their house when the market corrects itself, which we'll go into later. But when the market corrects itself, now they don't really have any equity because they bought a house at the top of the market. It's a decent time to sell if you're just looking for that short sell. Like, this is money you want to take into your retirement. You already have a plan for it and so forth. But those people who thought that they were going to sell this and they were going to use it, come back into the market, maybe grab up a couple of properties or something like that. No, because that was not the season for that. That was not the cycle for that. That cycle, if you sold, you took the short-term money. They say, I've been doing this for the past 50 years, and I don't want to do this anymore. And, for those people, maybe the buyout was really worth it. Maybe this was the cash out that they've been waiting for. And okay, that's fine. And if you're young and, you're going to cash in grandma's house and then, just going to go over it, that's what they call, like, free money, dumb money, unfortunately. And what that means is that, you really didn't know what to do with your asset. Like, you sold your asset right when it was about to jump up in price, right when it was going to become marketable. Because, okay, let's take, for instance, a situation with COVID. So for people that just sold because, hey, the numbers look really, really good, like the prices jumped through the roof. So it was like, yeah, this is a great time to sell, make my money, so on and so forth. Yes, that's true. But if you were young and you were able to hold on and make that a long-term play, then you were about to benefit from increased in rents. Like, now you can rent your property and be able to capitalize off of residual income. And that's the whole point of the property. Now you can use that residual income in order to get more properties. Now you can use that residual income if anything happens with your job. You have an asset versus you selling the only asset that you have. And then now when you turn around and try to get back into the market because you really didn't understand the market cycle, now you have limited funds compared to what people actually want for this asset that you now, are seeking, but you just sold it. So this storm is picking up. Not sure if you can see the sky, but the storm is picking up. So I want to really, really quickly go into corrections. All markets have corrections. So think about like the gentrification example. So if a bunch of people run into a market, or if a bunch of people run out of a market, what happens is there's a response. So whether that response is that, a bunch of people sell off grandma's house, or a bunch of people buy grandma's house at this high exaggerated rate. The people who sold grandma's house, now they didn't have a plan. Now they're looking for a place to rent. So they go over into this other market, and then, they've been there for a while, and now they start thinking, okay, well, I don't really like it here. Things have changed a little bit over there. Let me go over there, because they're actually hopping now, trying to figure out what makes sense to them because of, self-displacement by selling grandma's house, or however the situation went. But you have to look at all those little, remember, it's a market. So you have to look at all these little idiosyncrasies and then ask yourself, how do these different behaviors play into what's going on in the market? So in a stock market, let's just say, for instance, like AMC. So people say, okay, I really believe in AMC. I'm going to pump my money into AMC. So AMC jumped through the roof. Okay, yay. Everybody takes their profits. They run off with the profits, and then boom, like 2 days later, there's a correction. If it even takes that long, there's a correction. And so now they tally up all the numbers. They see, who sold, who stayed, who bought it at this amount, who bought it at that amount. And they do all the little calculations in the numbers. And then maybe at the height of, the sell-off, it was like $15. These are all exaggerated numbers because I'm not looking at it. I'm just going off of an example of how it happens, like how markets work. And these are tangible things where if you go and you look up AMC, you can track it, factually, you know, trade for trade, whatever happened. You can look that up on Google. $16 is now $3. You're like, what the freak? I should have sold. Da 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 da. But the thing is that, number one, as long as you hold that stock, if it rebounds, then guess what? You get to rebound with it. Of course, the higher you brought the stock, whatever number you brought it at, you have to get back up to that number before you can, expect to, receive your profit taking situation back. But the thing is that whether it is the stock market or whether it's the real estate market, when a correction comes, it depends on what side of the fence you are on. Are you on the side of the fence where that correction happened and you bought at the top of the market and now you have a depreciated value on your asset? Are you a person who was waiting for that correction happened and you have money, saved to the side because you knew it was coming? You knew that this was going to adjust lower versus adjust higher. Remember, if you're buying it, you want to buy it low with the expectation it's going to adjust higher. If you have the expectation that it's going to adjust lower, then you would want to wait and you would want to buy it when it adjusts lower. You have to, once again, let's recap. It's like, are you a day trader with stocks? Are you, like I said, buying a stock and then holding it to pass it on to your child? If you're doing that, did you put together, your death plan so that way, everything's in a trust, everything's spelled out? Because if you're going to pass it on, you don't want to pass it on and then it gets a bunch of tax penalties and then they don't really get to benefit from what it is that you are, trying to pass on to them. So there's all these little idiosyncrasies that people sometimes, when they latch on to these folks that come on with all these wondrous tales about how easy everything is, and they only tell you about one aspect. Then you jump out there, like, you buy up a bunch of this or you buy up a bunch of that, and it makes you that, quick return, or maybe, it makes you that, spaced out return, like dividends and so forth. Like, you're like, oh yeah, this is working for me. And so, those things might actually even be working for you. But the problem is you're not thinking about the long term. The long term is that it's still a market, which means that it can still fluctuate. Even if you buy low and you're aiming to sell high, how long will it take to get back to the high? Anybody telling you that they know exactly when this or that, they're lying to you, because no one knows. That's what they mean by timing the market. But it's not just timing the stock market, it's timing any market that you're a part of. So even if whether you make anything you make money off of, even if you make money off of hair, if you make money off of vacation rentals, everything you make money off of, you have to understand the climate. Do you understand that if you have a vacation rental, the different size in the vacation rental actually affects your target population? Whoever you are spending your marketing dollars to attract their attention, you want to attract the right person's attention. And if you have, let's just say, a studio unit, and you're doing an ad that's going to attract people who have, 4 people in their party, then you made a mistake. Like, why are you looking for families when you have a unit that is really only suitable for singles, or maybe, a parent with 1 child, or a single, person or a couple? So the thing is, it's like you really have to understand your product, the market that it falls in, so that way you can make those long-term goals, even if your investment option is, in order for you to get a short-term return. Because even if you get a short-term return, you have to know how to space out that money. A lot of people say, oh, I want to, be a real estate investor. I want to be a real estate broker, or so on and so forth. Are you thinking about the fact that, okay, even when you get those big-term clients, or you get that big-term deal, it may not come back to back to back for you in the beginning. You may have to say, okay, well, this client gave me, $15,000. That was wonderful, but now I have to take that $15,000 and it has to stretch me for 3 months. And it also has to cover these other things that I picked up along the way, when in my mind I thought that this was what I was going to be making every single month. And because of a recession, or because of people's changing appetites for this or that or the other thing, now I have to have, this leeway time where I revamp, where I, put this thing out again. And because you didn't think long term, you just took it into account, like, hey, this is the way that it's going to keep going, because this guru told me that, everything is on the rise. We're on a bull market and everything's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a short term recovery, and woo, I'm ready for it. And you don't know how to do the research. You don't know how to verify what's going on in the market. Those little extra, outside elements that are playing into whether this asset is going to, boom right now, whether this asset, is, that's something you should stay away from. Like, all of that stuff is important, even when it seems like, well, all I'm doing is getting this house in order for me to rent it out to someone. Okay, but then a moratorium comes, and the moratorium makes it where people don't have to pay their rent. Like, what is your fallback? Like, are you taking certain things into account? Forget about a moratorium. You say, okay, well, that happens once in a lifetime. All right, maybe. But what about if the ceiling caves in? What about if there's a boiler issue? There's all these different things that happen when you have real estate that you really have to take into account, so that way, when these things happen, you have the reserve income that you have put to the side, because you took into account that it's not going to always be like this. My income is not going to always be like this until I have enough assets to where it is enough residual income that I don't have to worry if there's a lag on this side, because I have this side, pulling up the slack. So once you get to those multiple streams of income, then wonderful. Now you're rocking and rolling. Now you're ready for, investor type conversations. But in the meantime, when you're in a getting started phase, when you're trying to understand markets, you're trying to understand investments, get your feet dirty, get your hands wet. You have to put in your time in order to really understand things. And I think in this day and age, when so many people are not being completely scrupulous, they're not having the utmost integrity, because they're chasing after paying their bills, they sometimes will cause you to they will sometimes cause a potential person who's just coming into this arena of learning about business and learning about investments. They'll cause those people to have so much skepticism that they really never get started. And the thing is do not have so much skepticism that you do not get started. Seek out good people, look up their Google reviews. New agencies are great because at the end of the day they can give you personalized attention. They'll have affordable prices. We have actually been in this business for over a decade with real estate, marketing, all of these different avenues, and it has been an amazing journey, but definitely a tedious journey. What I have come to learn is that it's not so much what you know or who knows it. What it is like, what do you want to become an expert at? What are you willing to really stay on top of? Are you willing to stay on top of stocks? Okay. And if you come talking to me about you want to be a day trader and you want to start doing profit sharing from all these different stocks and you're going to start making millions, okay. Because you said that you're going to put your time and your efforts into becoming a day trader. That's where you want to become an expert. No problem. But if you say that you want to listen to this person or that person, and you're gonna, look for short-term returns, these high-stakes plays because you're following such and such, or you're part of such and such group, master class, and so on and so forth. No, start seeking out people that want to teach you how to do it yourself. And after you see that they have enough understanding, enough expertise in that realm, and you say, okay, this is something where I just want to have knowledge about it so that I know that I'm not getting taken, but you're an expert at it. You carry the vision the rest of the way. That's when you're playing in a good field. That's when your grass is really green and the outcomes are looking like they're going to be in your favor. Because at the end of the day, you have to know what's going on in order for you to delegate properly, in order for you to, truly have an understanding of what your asset is doing for you, and, even being on top of, where is the lag? Like, are there any leaking places where, stuff can be, policy can put in place where things can run smoother, where I can, have these processes in place so I can run things smoother. Like, you should always want to develop your skills as a boss and as a person who delegates, because your time is very valuable. And at the end of the day, you can't keep taking your time and learning and perfecting and never getting started. You can't spend so much time trying to perfect and learn that you never put anything into play. You don't implement anything. So like I said, you learn, yes. Become knowledgeable, yes. But at the end of the day, try to figure out what is going to be your lane. Is this going to be something that I'm going to learn enough about so that I could keep up with the person who's talking to me, and they can't take me for a ride because I understand exactly what's going on? Or is this going to be a situation where you're like, oh, I'm going to leave it in their hands? I have people who tell me all the time, drives me crazy. They tell me, oh, well, I opened up an account for crypto, but I don't know how to get into it. I opened up an account for crypto, but I don't know what happened. The person told me to put $100 over here, such. it makes my heart bleed because it's a good investment. But at the end of the day, because they stopped with like maybe one or two people, they didn't take into account the full, spectrum of knowledge before they made that choice, and it left the keys with someone else. If they had dug just a little bit deeper, I'm sure they would have found that no, you have to make sure that whatever you do, you have your own 12 keys. Do not give anybody your 12 keys. Make sure that you're using a platform that gives you the rights to your crypto. Once again, if it doesn't have 12 keys, then you don't want to go in there. You don't want to use that. At the end of the day, do your due diligence in order to learn as much as you can about markets, understand as much as you can about fluctuations, understand as much as you can about the things that impact that market. Do your research. Team up with like-minded people. Definitely find your mentors, find your gurus, but make sure that they are people who are willing to invest in you the same way you're willing to invest in them. Meaning that they're willing to help you learn these things, to bring you alongside. It's not just, pay me for my expertise because I'm so smart, just come to a bunch of classes and I'm going to help you figure it out. No, make sure that it's, open Q&As, that, you can get your questions answered, that the stuff that you are trying to accomplish, that it takes the forefront in that, mentor-mentee situation. You don't want to waste time. You definitely do not want to waste your assets. You want to figure out how you can become an expert in your lane and what people you need to bring along in order to complement your endeavors so that you can reach the finish line. And whatever that finish line is, whether that finish line is, having a portfolio to pass on to your children, whether it's, having a certain amount of monthly income in order for you to live comfortably in retirement and not be, dependent upon what someone else does with a 401k or certain different other investments that stay in the hands of your employer or some other outside person. You're saying, I want to take charge of my investments. I want to take charge of my entrepreneurship endeavor, and we are here to help you. Our information will be below. Reach out. We're more than happy to talk to you, to help you get started. We look forward to hearing about your journey and helping you along the way. We definitely do not want you to throw away your money. We want you to spend your money wisely. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just giving you some information to help you to not be so afraid about looking into more information on how to invest and what it means to be a part of a market that's going to bring you a return on investment.